Hey guys, this is Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches. Thank you so much for joining me for this exciting episode. Today we are going to talk about Rolex Gold. But before we jump into the gold nugget contained within this topic, let's go ahead and get the quick fist watch check out of the way. And here it is. Well guys, today I am wearing, you know, it is a beautiful day out here, but nonetheless, we are working with a limited equipment budget. And today I am wearing a beautiful gold Rolex Submariner. And I'll tell you what, I'm using the front-facing camera, which is kind of cruddy resolution. But I'll tell you what, before this is over, we're going to turn the camera around so we can take a look at this in a proper 4K and really show you how it glitters in the sun. In fact, why don't we do that right now, and then I'll come back, turn the camera around, and we'll talk our way through this topic. Let's take a look. Well, guys, one of the really amazing things about this watch, the specific watch, which is the gold Rolex Submariner, this is the 40mm discontinued version. And by the way, that you can tell that because all the writing on there is gold. Whereas on the new 41mm, it is white. It'd be pretty hard to distinguish otherwise, although these lugs are a little bit different. But gosh, have a look at the incredible sunray dial and the bright, bright blue ceramic bezel that you get there. Now, part of what we got to talk about is how fragile gold really is. So if you look really close here, you will see the slip covers that I have placed here on the polished center links specifically, but also a little hard to see. If you look at the edge there, you can notice it has stickers on. I don't know why you guys complain so much about stickers. You complain that the authorized dealer takes them off, and then when I put them on, you complain about that too. So, well, let's turn this camera around. Let's talk about that whole topic of Rolex Gold. Well, guys, everything has its advantages and disadvantages. You know, if I had to say what is the perfect Rolex watch, it actually wouldn't be gold. It would be the steel version of this watch, whether it would be in green, like the Hulk that I have picture right here, or the newer version, the Cermet, or, you know, even the black. I think the Submariner really shines in gold because of this bright blue sunray dial. Absolutely. But it's fragile, it's soft. You have to be very careful with this thing. So look, let's talk about the whole topic of stickers. Why did I put them on? Well, of course, the AD de-stickered the watch when it was presented to me when I did the purchase. That came down from Rolex on high. They have really, the AD no longer has any choice about whether to de-sticker or not to de-sticker. They have very strict instructions to do that. I suppose that's Rolex's way of trying to fight the gray market a little bit. Seems like too little, too late to me, but okay, that's what they're doing. And, you know, when I got this watch, it was winter time. I was wearing long sleeves, and what I noticed was just the act of pulling the sleeve over and then the cloth of a shirt like rubbing on the watch. It was starting to develop very fine hairline scratches on it. Can you believe that? I mean, that like a sweater could scratch a Submariner? Well, that was what was happening. So I did a little bit of quick research and I decided to go ahead and put the slip covers on this thing. You know, honestly, you have to be, you know, looking at a photograph, a close-up, because in real life, I don't even know that they're there. And I always figured, well, I could easily remove the stickers if those eventually bother me, but removing scratches is another whole issue, especially if it were to go to dings, gunks, gouges, and deep scratches. You know, that would be kind of tragic. So here's the thing with gold. First of all, my AD, which is James & Sons, thank you so much for selling me this gorgeous watch. James & Sons, that is Brian in Orland Park, Illinois. Terrific buying experience as always over there. But you know, what they tell me is that gold is very hard to keep in stock right now. Now, as we know, steel sports, impossible to keep in stock. They're just not receiving enough of those from the manufacturer, Rolex in Geneva. And even the gold that they are receiving is flying off the shelves. Now, guys, you may have heard that you should get a 10 to a 15% discount on gold watches, on gold Rolex. While that is probably true of most other brands today, it has not been true of Rolex for quite some time, and that is because there's practically waiting list type approach to buying a Gold Submariner anymore, or any of the gold sports watches. They are very, very difficult to obtain, and that's because for whatever reason lots of people want them. Maybe as a hedge against inflation, maybe when times are turbulent and troubled, people want to sink money into precious metals, and also precious metals have been rising. They're kind of at a high, but gold is kind of high as of today. And so, for whatever reason, people think that Rolex is a hedge against inflation, so a gold Rolex is kind of like a double whammy, and well, it's making them very, very hard to get, and that means you're not just going to walk into the AD, do them the courtesy of taking it off the shelf in return for your 10 or 15% discount. That just doesn't happen anymore. In fact, you're likely to have to wait in line. Now, as far as the ownership experience goes, well, it's a little bit... I think that that's going to be unique according to your situation. As you can see by my surroundings, I kind of live on a rural farm type, place. I'm a dog trainer, so I've got kennels and I'm banging into metal things all day. So obviously, I can't wear this at work. It's more like a fancy going out watch, except for, it's a pandemic and I'm not that fancy. So I'm not going out anywhere. I don't even go to the movies anymore. So the big question is, like, where do you wear a watch like this? Okay. You know what? It's a Submariner, it's a dive watch, but quite frankly, I would not hesitate to wear my steel Submariner, whether I have a black one and the green one. I wouldn't hesitate to wear those to the beach. I wouldn't wear this one to the beach to save my life. All that grit flying around, it's just definitely gonna scratch up the watch. So where do you wear something like this? Well, listen, if you're a CEO or you're a dress up kind of a guy, fine. I guess you'd have more occasion to wear it than I would. And maybe if you know Taekwondo or Shotokan Karate, or if you are a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expert, you might feel really good, or you're an MMA martial arts, kind of an instructor, you might feel good about wandering around the mean streets of the city wearing one of these guys. But I personally barely know how to defend myself, not unless I have my German Shepherd with me. So honestly, it makes me a little bit nervous to wear this in places where, you could potentially become the victim of crime. A lot of people say, well, fine, it's insured. Just, make sure it's insured. Well, that's all well and good, but you know what? They're not walking up to you and saying, please, hand over the Rolex and nobody gets hurt. They're clobbering you over the head, and taking it off of your unconscious body. Or, gosh, how about that scenario where James Gandolfini, from Sopranos, the Tony Soprano, had a heart attack in Italy, and they stripped him of his gold Rolex on the way to the hospital. The ambulance attendant did it. It later was reported. So, a gold Rolex is a thing of beauty, but you have to really very carefully consider your options in terms of where you wear such a thing. Now, guys, this watch retails for around $36,000, so it's crazy money, but it's not nearly as crazy as Richard Mille watches, right? So an RM watch was recently stolen at gunpoint out of a Beverly Hills restaurant. It was a $500,000 watch. They just stuck a gun in this guy's face and they took his watch. And I've heard lots of reports of similar things happening, all the way down to just steal Rolex. How does it happen? Now, I'm not making any accusations because I don't know what happened exactly with that Richard Mille, but there have been numerous cases where fellas have worn their Rolex, whether on vacation or even in their own city, gone out to eat and been mugged right outside the restaurant or shortly thereafter. And a couple of them theorize that the waiters are trained in certain places to notice stuff like this. And between the soup and the salad, they're back there calling, the gang, and letting them know, a guy wearing this kind of a coat and so forth has got that kind of a watch, and catch them on the way out. So could that happen? Yes, that could happen, especially in cities where there's high degrees of tourism, right? So Barcelona, Buenos Aires, London, New York, Paris, Madrid. This kind of thing can easily happen to you just for wearing an expensive watch. And you could get hurt trying to defend this thing, and you could get hurt even if you were willing to hand it over. They're not usually being super polite about it. So now, guys, I'll tell you what, honestly, I've worn expensive watches all through Bangkok and other parts of Thailand, and I really wouldn't worry about it there because they sell so many fakes. You could be sitting at a breakfast restaurant and they will bring a tray of fakes around. So if you wear a Rolex in Thailand, A, there's not a lot of violent crime there, but B, they would definitely make the assumption that your watch is fake in Thailand, so you're probably okay there. Although honestly, in certain areas, I know exactly where to tell you. On Beach Road in Pattaya, do not wear gold chains, or the motorcycle snatchers, will take it right off of you. There's quite a good business in gold chains. But watches, they seem to leave those alone because they think they're all fake. They're not willing to take the risk. So if you have been thinking about buying a gold Rolex or gold watch, what I would urge you to do is to think about how often will you have it out of the bank box, because this one lives a lot in the safe. And then periodically I bring it home to enjoy it, and then back it goes. How much use will you really get out of it? Or do you even care? Maybe it's just a lifetime achievement award from you to you, and it really doesn't matter whether you wear it a whole lot or not. But personally, I don't wear it a lot. Is it a lifetime achievement award? Yes, it is, and so I'm very fond of it. But I'm not one of those guys who is going to bravely wear this regardless and let the chips fall where they may. I think twice before I wear it off of the property. I kind of think through where I'm going. Am I going to be wearing long sleeves and covering it, which is, kind of like the ideal? Then, it's stealth wealth. But and what's funny is, here I am in my, essentially my Goodwill, like everything I'm wearing now, you could have bought at Sam's Club. I think my entire wardrobe is worth $20, and I'm wearing a $35,000 watch, which is kind of nuts. So it lives in the safe. The house is protected. I'm protected. But guys, if you're going to go out and buy a Rolex, you really have to think, how much use are you going to really get out of it? So what I'd like you to do is talk about this with me in the comments. Gold, what do you think? Should we just stick to steel? Or is gold the ultimate I've made it watch, and you should just be proud and unashamed? Not really sure what to think about this myself, even though I have one. Should I keep it? Guys, tell me what you think in the comments. This is Goldberg, and before I peace out, let me simply remind you, paint the sky your favorite color. Peace out.
Paint the sky your favorite